Alright, we're back at it. It's Monday. Back in the slums. I love my job. Anyways, Massey 136. Here we go. I think 156. Yeah, I'll find the number and I'll throw it on the screen. Anyways, customer brought it in for just to do a valve job. Well, I don't even need to do the valve job to see that, hey, there's an issue. And I just did a little scratch with the grinder so you can see it. It actually bulged out. I had never seen this before. They should have put a freeze plug there, huh? So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna grind this flat and get it close, and then we're gonna use the surfacer. We're gonna shave this off, and then we're gonna make a plate with 4 bolts. 4 bolts here, and we're gonna cover this hole up. Because yeah, you can buy a new head for $300, but they're cheap pieces of junk. And this is an original head, and they're worth fixing. So we're gonna do a full valve job on this as well. Surface it. We're gonna surface the block surface. We're gonna do the exhaust manifold surface, and the valves are good. I already have those ground, and then we're gonna be doing cutting the seats on this one. So I just found it interesting. I'd never seen this before. When I told the customer, yeah, no problem, I could just put 4 bolts in here, put a plate, and it's gonna be all good to go. And he was really impressed and was like, all right, let's do it. That sounds good. So let's get this project started. So it turns out with this one, there was valve guides in it, but I whacked it as hard as I could and it wouldn't budge. So it's probably going to be just easiest to kind of drill in a little bit, get it loosened up, and then hit them out with the punch. Valve guides are in. The one thing that's really annoying about these heads is I can't use my multi-angle cutting bits. So I can't use these, sadly. So I have to do individual angles. So this one right here. And that's kind of annoying. So first, this one has not been done. That's the exhaust. This one has been done. So then I'm going to take that one and then cut the valve guide relief to make sure that the sharp edge of the seat sits on the valve in the right spot. So it just adds another step to it. But that's the way this head is. So when I'm doing this, when I cut that valve relief, I'm going to paint that stuff, and that's when I use this stuff. It's, I don't know, just layout fluid. So this one I had already cut, and then I painted it, and then I cut my relief. That way I can see my lines on where it's been cut. So that part is where it's been cut, that hasn't. So I take my valve, and I've already done it. Just hit it down a few times. And then you can see a little line on the valve, and it's exactly where I want it to be. You don't want it on the edge, but you'll see a little line. Right about there. You don't want it on the edge, because then you burn your valves, especially on exhaust. You want a little bit of relief in there. So I'm just going to do that a bunch of times. It adds a lot to it, probably quadruples the amount of work, but it's the right way to do things. There we are. All the valves are relieved, and every valve checks out. So we're gonna start looking at fixing this big old hole. I ground it out, and once I ground it, just got so paper thin, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna remove all the material. We'll see if I regret that or not. This one will be interesting. See how I'm gonna do it. So this is gonna get interesting. The way I find it, my casting is thickest at this point and that point. And with the water jacket here, we've got thick points in the casting in these squares. So I'm going to make a plate kind of based off of those rough dimensions, which it's looking like we got a pretty good square. And that's going to be a solid point of contact, and then just silicone the heck out of that thing. Make a nice plate, drill the holes, and then once I've got those holes drilled, then I can center punch it. And then I'll use my Jacob's chuck and my head machine to drill those holes out, because that's a whole lot easier than mounting into my mill. So that's the way I think I'm going to do it. It's okie, but I think it's going to work. Going off of these dimensions, I kind of got, man, look at me using fractions. Very precise. This is what I'm going to be basing this plate off of, so I'm going to go find some material that kind of fits that criteria, cut it, slap it in the mill, and we'll make this real. From paper to metal. Alright, well, let's go see if it fits, which it should, because when has my math ever been wrong? And just a quick look, it's like a glove. Right on my little mock Sharpie marks right there. Come on, focus. Looks like it pretty well lines up, and that should be right in the middle of that square. So this should work out really well. So let's get that transfer punched, and we'll drill and tap those holes. Alright, I got 3 done so far. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Be a little tricky, but I've got a punch mark in there, and I can kind of see the head floats. It's on air, so kind of put it there on the punch mark, give the head a little wiggle, let it center, and let off the foot pedal. There we go. And then I got a Sharpie mark that second one right there. That'll give me a 3/8 depth with it, which is more than enough. And I can look at my Sharpie, that punch mark, and you can see it's in the center. We're good. It's a little slow for this drill bit. These drill bits like a 1500 RPM, but just take my time. It's cast iron, it's easy to drill. got my 4 holes. Now let's get them tapped. Alright, holes are tapped. Got 1 test screw in. And all the bolt holes line up. I think that's a success. Now it's on to get the cylinder head surfaced and reassembled. Got the cylinder head on the surfacing machine, and it's pretty warped. So we're going to deck the head surface, and then we're going to flip it on its side into the exhaust surface, just so it all looks good. Today I'm using my Van Norman 570 rotary broach. Now it's on the surfacing the manifold mount of the head, and I couldn't put it in here because as I got it clamped with the feet, this hit the top of the head, so I couldn't quite mount it that way. So I set it up on my parallel blocks. And I kind of like surfacing things with these blocks better. It feels a little more secure because I'm sandwiching it with this 3/4 inch stainless steel fine thread all thread, so it really holds on good. Close to done. There it is, all done. And silicone plate, 4 screws, bolt that on. Head surfaced, all it needs is a wash and reassemble. That'll be like a brand new cylinder head. It's kind of a fun project, unique. Most people would throw this head away when they saw that problem, but with just a little bit of effort and a little bit of thinking outside the box, thinking with your head, get it? Save a little bit of money and save an original head. Thanks for watching.